What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the HTC One Mini to the original HTC One. Now HTC's flagship device currently is the HTC One, and it's proven to be very popular. Now the arch rival of HTC is Samsung, and Samsung have released a mini version of their flagship, the Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini. It looks like HTC One are following on as well with the HTC One Mini. Now the important thing to know is that the HTC One Mini is simply not a smaller version of the original. There are some cutbacks in spec as well. What cutbacks? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. So initially, let's look at dimensions because the HTC One Mini is supposed to be smaller. It's roughly about 5.5mm smaller in terms of height and roughly about 5mm smaller in width. So not massively smaller, and in thickness it's roughly about the same as well. So considering it is supposed to be smaller, not a huge deal of difference in terms of size. Yes, it is smaller. It is also more compact in terms of weight. So you're looking at 122 grams as opposed to 143 grams of the HTC One original. So you've got a difference there, so roughly about 21 grams lighter. So yes, although it's not massively smaller, it is a little bit more compact. In terms of screen size, the HTC One has the 4.3 inch screen, whereas the HTC One original has the 4.7 inch screen. So you've got a smaller screen as well. So generally speaking, it's going to be a little bit easier to use with one hand. You know, you're going to be able to have that a little bit more of a compact device there, although it's not massively smaller. So that's one thing that I would have expected to be a little bit more smaller personally. Now the resolution of the screens, the HTC One original has that 1080p screen, and it's got one of the highest PPIs out there, 468 PPI, very sharp and crisp images and text, a really nice display. The HTC One Mini has a 720p HD screen, so it is still HD, and it's quite impressive that HTC have brought this over to the Mini as well. Samsung on the other hand with the S4 Mini had the QHD display, which was smaller than a 720p HD. Not great, and quite a big disappointment for many out there. So HTC One, quite impressive that they brought a 720p display on here. That's 341 ppi. The HTC One original is going to be better, no doubt about that, but it's not to say that the HTC One Mini is not going to be bad. 341 ppi is still a very good resolution. Now it's also impressive to see that the build quality is the same. You've still got the aluminium unibody on the HTC One Mini as with its bigger brother, and it's got that nice premium feel, and this has been one of the key selling points of the HTC One, compared to other rivals out there. That premium unibody design, very nice. One of the best looking phones out there, no doubt about that. It's a very good looking device, and that's been brought over to the HTC One Mini as well, which is absolutely great. You're gonna have the black and silver versions available as you did with the original. The original also has a red version now. You may see a HTC One Mini red later on, but currently at this point in time you've got the silver and black versions. Now looking inside the devices, here's where a lot of the cutbacks also are. You've got a dual-core 1.4 GHz processor on the HTC One Mini. On the original, you've got the 1.7 GHz quad-core processor, and you've also got a better GPU on the original HTC One. So, in terms of performance, the HTC One original is going to be much faster, especially for those high-intensive tasks, such as gaming and those really high-intensive apps that you've got on there. So the HTC One Mini, not going to be bad in any way, but it's not going to be as fast as the HTC One original. For your general tasks, etc., it should be absolutely fun, and it should be plenty for most of the mid-range users out there. In terms of RAM, at the HTC One Mini, 1GB versus the 2GB that the original has. So you've got double the RAM on the original. So multitasking, etc., is definitely going to be better on the HTC One original. The Mini, again, it's not going to be bad in any way, and especially if you're a mid-range user, it should be more than enough, but it's not going to be as good at those multitasking sort of abilities that the HTC One is going to be. Now the HTC One Mini, you've only got the 16GB storage option. The HTC One original, you've got 32 and 64 GB. So if you are somebody who's got lots of media, lots of content on your phone, lots of apps, etc., then you know the HTC One Mini may, you know, start maxing out after a bit. Although 16 gigabytes is usually more than enough. Neither of these have expandable storage as well, so that's something definitely to bear in mind. Cameras, you've got the same cameras on here, 4 megapixels UltraPixel camera. So although it's not the best resolution out there, low light performance, HTC say that you're going to get 300% more light compared to other cameras. Low light performance on the HTC One has been absolutely brilliant, and you know, it really does perform much better than many of the other competitors out there. And it's great to see that HTC have brought this over onto the Mini as well at the same resolution. Now you've also got other features such as HTC Zoe as well available on the HTC Mini, which is absolutely great. 1080p video recording with HDR on both of these here as well with the rear facing camera. Now the front facing camera, 1.6 megapixels versus the 2.1 megapixel on the HTC One original, and you've also got 720 video versus 1080p video on the front facing cameras here as well. So a slight cut down on the front facing camera of the HTC One Mini. Now you've got Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2 on both of these. The original HTC One, if you do, you know, have one of the previous versions, you'll be able to upgrade it either right away or shortly as well, so that's not a problem there. And you've also got BlinkFeed, so a lot of these features are on here. You've got the HTC Sense UI that's sitting over both of these here on the generic versions. However, the HTC One now is also available in a stock Android version, so you know, if you are somebody who wants the stock Android experience, you know, the Nexus sort of experience, then the HTC One, it does have that option there. The HTC One Mini currently does not have this option here. Now it's great to see that HTC have brought over Beats Audio as well as HTC Boom Sound, the dual front stereo speakers with the amp on the HTC One Mini, so that's really great. Again, another key selling point of the HTC One has been that awesome sound compared to other devices where the speaker is at the back. You know, you've got these at the front where you're going to be listening to them. You've got two speakers on either side, so you've got some really nice sound here on the HTC One Mini as well. However, some of the features have been cut back. You've not got an IR blaster as you've got with the HTC One. Neither do you have NFC, so you know, that's a cutback. If you're not somebody that's going to be using those features much anyway, it's not a big deal. It's not something that you're missing out on massively, but those features have been cut back on the HTC One Mini. Now in terms of the batteries, the HTC One Mini comes with an 1800 milliamp battery, whereas the HTC One original has a 2300 milliamp battery. So you've got a higher capacity battery on the HTC One original. Neither of these are removable. Now although the HTC One original has that high capacity, you know, because the HTC One Mini has a low resolution and a slower processor, it might not be as intensive on the battery as the HTC One original. So I would expect the HTC One Mini to give similar sort of performance based on day-to-day use, I think. Again, that we'll have to wait and see, but generally speaking, I think it will be quite similar. Now in terms of price, the HTC One original is currently going for about $450 to £500 here in the UK, or in the US you're looking at roughly about $600 to $650, and it is available now, so you can go ahead and get it right now. Now the HTC One Mini has an August to September release date, so you'll be seeing it soon in stores and you can pre-order it right now. In terms of price, you're going to be looking at roughly between £350 to £400 here in the UK. The US, the handset only, not been confirmed, but I would expect it to be roughly about $450 to $500. So you know, you are going to be getting a cheaper device here with the HTC One Mini. So although you've got a bit of a cutback in specs, it is a cheaper device. So those were the key differences between these two devices. I think it's important to remember that the HTC One Mini is simply not a smaller version of the HTC One. It's also got some cutbacks in spec, but with the cutbacks in spec, you've also got a cutback in price. So you know, you've got a more budget device here, and it's going to really aim for those mid-range users out there who don't necessarily need all that performance of the HTC One original. What are your views on the HTC One Mini? Which would you go for? Would you go for the HTC One Mini, or would you go for the HTC One original? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.